Hey, what's up guys? Got a boy here. I'm going to show you how to set up basic flight stick controls for the independent aircraft, the Buzzard. Alright, let me show you what I got going here. First let's get in and we're going to show you a little bit of the cockpit. Okay, so before we get into the controls, we're going to look at some of the gauges. Above my right foot you'll see the fuel gauge, and you'll see the other three gauges that surround the fuel gauge are all engine gauges, and you'll see that as you spool up. Right above the joystick here, you can see the gauge with the yellow line representing how level the aircraft is. And you'll have all this on your heads-up display after you power up too. See here, we'll power up and show you here. See engine on. You'll see it spool up and then kind of level off. And then your heads-up display will come up. See, there it is right now. Alright. Everything's all powered up. You got your heads-up display, and you'll notice on the heads-up display it represents here you'll see your compass direction on there, as well as a little compass here in the top right of the cockpit, which is so small you can't see it, but it is pretty neat if you're in tactical view. And we also have compass heading, altitude, and there's a compass down there with the dial is made for LTS, but we'll get into that later. This aircraft doesn't need that right now. Okay, so heads-up display. You can see for now all you really need to know is your compass, heading, and your runway. This runway is 044, and you'll notice that the aircraft compass and the way I'm facing is 044, and I'm lined up on the runway. You see 04, 040. That corresponds to the direction of the compass, so you know how to line up, and we'll get into that later. Okay, so programming my joystick. Let me go into my controls here and we'll show you what's up. Okay, so let's go into the controls here. Configure controls. Helicopter movement. Nope, we want plane movement. And as you can tell, with whatever flight stick you're using, you can program everything right now. When you try to program something and it shows up red in here, it just means that it's also programmed for something else. Like my left shift is obviously programmed for thrust, but it's also thrust for vehicle. So if I was in a Jeep, it would be the same thing. So you just want to be careful if you don't double up on that. So nose up, nose down, bank left, bank right. Here I use increased thrust and decreased thrust as W and S instead of my joystick throttle, because I don't like the joystick throttle. I like just using the joystick with one hand and the throttle in the other hand, because I'm using Logitech Sidewinder 3D Pro. So anyway, and then you got left pedal, right pedal for people that are using pedals. I don't use pedals, so I use left turn and right turn, which is the hat trick on the joystick. Basically that twisting motion if your joystick has that. And then there's gear up, gear down, flap up, flap down. All that stuff can be done through the radial menu mouse wheel too, so I don't exactly program everything. I program basic flight stuff and the important things. And then there's also one thing that I wanted to point out here. If you go into your controller and then you do customize, you can do the dead zones right in here. Now, and if you're not familiar with dead zones, that's just if something's really sensitive, you can tweak the dead zones to make it even better. Okay, so let's back up again here. Back up, back up. One of the other important things that I wanted to point out here is countermeasures is programmed in weapons. Weapons tab, and then countermeasures down here. So you just need to go to the appropriate tab to do that. I actually program my map, my change view, tactical view, a lot of stuff to my joystick, and you got to do it in different sections. Like countermeasures is in weapons, but it can also be programmed to your joystick too, and so on. So let's go back to where were we? Vehicle, plane movement. Okay, fast forward. You don't need fast forward. That's not going to work. That's more of a single player thing. And then you got throttle, left turn, right turn, gear up, gear down, brake, and then flap up, flap down. A lot of times the flaps have 3 different positions. You'll see that when we fly. And that's about it for the controls here. Besides that, let's have a look at some other things that you should do before you even take off. A couple more things I like to program is views. There's tactical views, there's different types of views. You can toggle views. What I like to do is toggle view. I like to have that on the joystick as well when I'm flying, and then also tactical view, and that'll give you a more zoomed in tactical view for firing on the enemy for sure. And there's a whole bunch of different stuff you can play around with. So I do that, and I also like to program, let's see, where do I get it programmed? Right here. See, look left, look right, and center look. I program that to my joystick as well, so I can freely look around and it'll snap back into place. So if I look left or look right and then I push this center look, it's going to snap it back into place for me. So if I ever get confused while I'm looking around, I can easily snap it back into place. And you can play around with all this stuff. I'll show you how it works. Watch. If I'm sitting in the cockpit and I'm holding onto the joystick, I can look right and just let go and it snaps into place, or let go. Or if I hold down the Alt button, I can look around and just zoom in wherever you want, look around, and then the minute you let go, it snaps back into place. So once you get the view set up, it's really, really nice. And then you have that, that tactical view too in cockpit. See how you can zoom in on the gauges and whatnot, and the heads-up display. And it's the same thing when you hit that center look view button. See what it does? It center locks it right on me, so I can quickly look down at my gauges, and then I can hit that center view button I programmed on my joystick, and it snaps it back into place. All this stuff makes it really nice for flying. Okay, so I like to set 2 waypoints before I even take off. The main target for if you're in multiplayer, and I might go into multiplayer after this here and show you. And then I like to set a personal waypoint. And as you can see, here I am on runway 040. I'm going to hold shift and left click and set my waypoint for the end of the runway. That way if I get confused, I know I can always fly back here and rearm, refuel, repair. Alright, enough with the controls here. Let's get this baby flying. Full throttle. Using my left turn a little bit to keep it straight. You don't even want to pull up. You see your miles per hour up on the top left? You don't even want to try pulling up till you get around 170 miles an hour, 180, 190, and then just ever so slightly pull up. And then the minute you're airborne, you want to go in and bring your gear up. Okay, let me level it off. I'm going to go gear up, and you'll notice the flaps are down. See? Level it up a little bit. Alright. So we're flying, and you'll notice I can look around, and behind me, if you look behind me, is my waypoint I set. And I know the end of the runway is runway 040, so if I want to go back to that and try to land, I know that that's the end, so I would kind of want to approach it from a ways away and get lined up on 040 to get to that point. As you can tell, you can see it over here with my view. Nice view, the map's looking good. Alright. Let me get a little tactical view. Tactical view. Now you'll notice in the tactical view, this is much more for dogfighting. I also have my flares that I got programmed in case we get locked. And I'll show you. There you go. Alright. Alright, let's do this. I'm going to try to come in for a land and let's see where we're at here. Look at the map. waypoints up here. I'm actually going way too fast. Slow down. Gonna do flaps down, gear down. Nope. As you can tell, I kind of botched the landing. I don't want to crash. I'm going to get my airspeed back up and make another pass at it. There's the runway over there. You generally want to slow down to about, I forget what the jet at what speed it drops out of the sky, but there's a certain point where when you're going, you can hear my dog trying to yell at me to get on the bed. Go away. Hop up. Alright. There we go. Doggy's all set. Coming in for a landing. Been a while since I tried to do a landing. Come on. Gears down. We get lined up. Throttle. Throttle down. Whew. Nice. Not too bad, not too bad. Braking. I could have put my flaps down. They actually are down, flaps down, gear down. But look, I can put them down even more. That was actually a successful landing. Just want to show you the flaps. You'll notice the flaps. Let's see, if I go flaps up, they come up, and then down. Anyway, when you're coming in for a landing, there's two different positions of flaps. Center my view. See how we're doing on. Let's have a look here. Fuel. Fuel's good. Everything's good. Successful landing. Yeah. Alright. As you can tell, we burned a little fuel, not much there. Powering down. We're going to power down and get out. Successful flight with the buzzard. Hope you enjoy the video. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump into some multiplayer and show you how these controls do in a little multiplayer setting.